payola is your thing. I wonder if you can tell us, first off, what is payola for people who don't really know what that practice is, and how it connects to the issue of media ownership. How is the way that the media is set up in terms of who owns it and runs it connected to the issue of payola?
Well, I think payola, we talk about media reform and consolidation and all these factors, but payola ties all of them together because once the Telecom Act changed, and my background has been in broadcasting for 27 years. I started at NBC and Clear Channel, Emmis, and all these great companies. And for a long time, radio was fun. Radio had localism, and we dealt with local communities. And once the Telecom Act came, things changed. I worked at BET, and a lot of the issues started to get downsized in terms of local news got cut out, information got cut out, public service got cut out, because these companies paid large price tags and they had to find different ways to make money, from cutting back staff, and the payola is on the corporate level, they call it non-traditional revenue. And non-traditional revenue is, accepting money from record labels to, sponsor trips, promotions, to do vans, to all different things that corporations can do. That payola in the old days was one guy giving another guy money to break a record, and it was simple as that. But payola now is taking on a corporate level, and you have Clear Channel that owns, from the Telecom Act, when they went from owning 70-something stations to 1,200 stations in two years. How does one company grow so fast in management without strict playlists, strict rules? And so the decision makers at those stations all of a sudden became more powerful, and they asked for things that only record companies could pay, where individuals, if I wanted to play my Free Press album, I just didn't have the money. That same $75 to that PD who had no power all of a sudden. So payola is taken on a corporate face. And with consolidation and what we already know, how many stations are guilty, there will be no need for even having this discussion about consolidation, because if it was enforced, people would lose licenses and certain things, but who knows what's going to happen when that happens, or if it happens with payola.
I want to go back to something you said, where you said radio used to be fun, and now it's kind of this homogenous, bland soup. I wonder if you can just sort of tell a story of how that happened and really connect these abstract, FCC regulations and media rules to something as basic as what people hear when they turn that knob on their radio. What is the relationship between those things?
Well, the relationship with records and radio, before radio used to run the record companies, radio stations would submit certain things, and me as a program director, as I've been, and music director in New York, DC, Boston, and I would listen to cuts and pick what I wanted to hear. But with the advent of video's a big change in the consolidation game, because all of a sudden record companies thought they needed MTV and BET, so they spent huge sums of money. They would spend $500,000 on a music video. So all of a sudden they didn't want you to play anything else except one single. So as the early 90s and music videos became bigger and bigger, there were points where record companies would go, hey man, don't play anything else from the album. Before, you would want to sell an album or a CD and as much airplay as you want, but they wanted airplay based solely on what the video was. So videos, that ended radio, where radio started following what video outlets were doing, where radio was the first choice for people. But once they started putting those images, and of course the images are the same, I'm on the beach. I'm a fly girl. I got booty. I got shake. And we've just been seeing it happen now for over 10 years. The same songs.
And you're saying the reason that we keep seeing that recycled, kind of stereotypical pablum is because of
consolidation of even record companies. You know, before there were 8 labels. Now they're down to, I call them 3.5. They're 4. But it's just the formula that they think that works. Where all of a sudden, matter of fact, I posed a question that nobody ever can answer, and I bet you anybody can't answer this one. The largest record, the record that's made the most money in the past 10 years out of any artist or group. And nobody can give me the answer, and it's Norah Jones. But Norah Jones was on Blue Note, won Grammys, never got airplay, but it proves the point, and it's real rare that an artist can put out a good product and word of mouth can sell it. She didn't have the MTV video or anything else, but she was at a little record company, but the public liked the record, got picked up on a television show as a theme song, and one thing led to another. And that happens once in a blue moon, but it just shows you how record companies get things wrong. And then, you know, and once you know, it was like the boy band era. You know, if it was, you know, in black radio, it was New Edition, the Boyz II Men, the Backstreet Boys to NSYNC or New Kids in the Block. And they've been using the same bubblegum theory for a long time. And it's not to develop artists, it's to develop videos and campaigns. So they've just got caught up by spending more money. Videos killed the record industry. It's killed it. It's made it not music, it's made it not bands, it's made it not tours, it's made it a lot of things that have nothing to do about music, really. It's about image, you know, about image.
Can you give us some other examples of artists or musicians that young people might know and like that are kind of suffering under this system that you're describing?
Well, the difference is that young people, they can't know about them because they don't see them on a lot of level. The young people are the ones that are getting hurt more than anybody else because they're getting stuck with bubble gum, you know. And young people, as much as they want to believe they're cool, they're easily influenced by seeing the images over and over again. And getting back to the point of consolidation, back when radio, in the early 90s, radio used to play songs, top songs in the top 10 rotation, you know, anywhere from 40 to 25 times a week. Now, top 5 songs at major stations get played 140 times a week. So it's tripled. It went from 4 or 5 hour rotations where a jock, being a jock, I would only play a song once on my shift. Now you hear it every 65 minutes. You know, so they just drill it over and over, and that's the record company's idea of demanding, you know, airplay and spins. And now it's digital tracking, so now they can see. Before you would add records when we would put them in lunar rotation, you know, where you might hear a record every 3rd day or something like that. But there are no chances for records like that. Now it's like, look, damn it, we want you to play that record until they die, you know, and they'll drill it, and eventually it works. I mean, and it doesn't mean that they're good records because they sell. Crack sells, you know. If you just give it to enough people and they get hooked. It's like McDonald's, it's on every corner. Eventually you gotta go to McDonald's. So you hear these songs over and over, but that's why adult music has really cut out. Nothing's geared to, you know, 30 plus anymore. Everything's dealing with bubblegum acts.
So if I'm listening to you talking right now and I'm sold, I'm like, yeah, I get it, it's a problem. What would you say to me in terms of a solution? What is something that, as, you know, a kind of average person, I should be looking at doing to help solve this problem?
in some ways, I'm kind of twisted when it comes to some of the solutions because, wow, they take a long time, man. Media reform and consolidation and things that happen on Capitol Hill and policy. You know, I mean, this kid's losing a lifetime of music by the time, you know, the Telecom Act's 10 years old now. And every study, and people can debate it, it's wrong. It's wrong when more people own, less people own more. It's just confusing to the average person where you really don't know what to do. So what do? You load up your iPod or, you know, I'm not a believer in alternative systems of, you know, internet radio and all these other things because the public airwaves are public, you know, and you should be able to hear what you want on the radio for free. And it's, you know, there's XM and there's Sirius, but Clear Channel owns, you know, 40% of XM, and it's the same cats programming, the same stuff there, but it's, you know, it's so fragmented now that, you know, my musical tastes are more than hearing, you know, this gangster rap on one channel or classical on another. You know, you don't hear anybody blending this and that. You know, it's so fragmented to, you know, women 18 to 19 with blue eyes and green hair. You know, that'll be next formats, you know, really hitting genders and, you know, sexual preference or something like that.
So it's just all, there's no more. The last question for you. And some of the great, like, you know, kind of the musical greats that have become a part of our culture, you know, these icons. Do you think it's possible that if they were, say, producing now instead of 20 years ago, that we just never would have heard of them because Clear Channel never would have taken a risk on?
Well, they just would have been artists and radio. They're not made or formatted to build stars anymore, long lasting. They're made to build moments. You know, it's a series of one-hit wonders out here. You know, you don't see tours anymore, even though Clear Channel owns SFX, which they changed the name to something else, but it's the same people running the same stuff. And Viacom owns Nickelodeon and MTV and VH1 and BET. How's that happen that one company, and they own CBS Radio, can change the lives and images of everybody over, you know, but in one sense, I think it's the American way. You know, if money wins, man. If you got cash, you can win. But in another sense, the part that I like about all this is that revolution wins too. You know, sometimes you just got to go take it back, and that's what it's about: taking back ownership and making it local, and making it, you know, personal, where moms and pops and families or small companies can do things, you know, that deal with the people in the area. There's no more records breaking out of the West and the Northeast. They break on, you know, ad date when the record company says, you know, April 22nd at so-and-so. And everybody adds it and they play it the same amount of times. So, like I was saying earlier, this time for folks to just think, man. It's more than this saying radio sucks. It's like, well, why does radio suck? And if it sucks, what can I do to change it?
That's a